Namaste, Jai Bharat. One of the objective or purpose of doing this video was to revisit wrongly used concepts. There are many conceptual confusions in common life, in a common man's common life. So, why this YouTube primarily is to look at those very serious confusions, inadvertent though. Today, let us discuss about a very popularly and commonly used concept of the Indus Valley Civilization. The question is it really Indus Valley Civilization at all? Is the question that I would like to pose. The archaeologists have no problem because they have a convention of, suppose they excavate a very large area in a series and they find it's a larger area of a single or related civilization. They have a convention of naming that civilization with the first excavated site's name. So normally the archaeologists have their a kind of convention. So they name this as the Harappan civilization. They don't really confuse themselves much. They call it as Harappan civilization because Harappa happens to be the first excavated site in the so-called quote-unquote Indus Valley civilization. The question is it really called Indus Valley? Extensive work on this question is done by a Frenchman, Michel Danino. His book came out in 2010, published by Penguin India. What is it now? The Lost River on the Trail of River Saraswati. I think that's the name of that book. Michel is my personal friend otherwise. He has done tremendous work. One of the very good work that I came across with such honesty, such dedication, and absolutely no bias. And he is a Frenchman basically, but then he had been staying with in Bharat for a long time. He had walked through, and he is not an archaeologist. What you call professionally, he is not. He's an engineer professionally, but then he is now with history, with archaeology, and also he was member of the Indian Council of Historical Research, ICHR. So Michel's book is very instructive, and that book really, I find that book as an authority in these lines. So one of the questions which used to which perplexed and confused both archaeologists and historians, they are hand in hand. It's always archaeologists and historians work together. One of the puzzles they came across is that they called it as Indus Valley. Indus is a name given by the Greeks for the river Sindhu, Sapta Sindhu, you must have come across all those things. Indus is a name they gave to Sindhu. So we call it, in schools they teach you as a Sindhu civilization. But then the problem or the confusion or the archaeologists and the historians were perplexed seeing that they come across many settlements. I think as per Michel's account, it's about I don't know if I will write, but something like 3,600 such settlements in 3,600 settlements, if I'm right. I'm nearly forgetting, in 3 stages. So many settlements, that means so many sites, and many are yet to be found and excavated. After some time, I'll tell you a correction that comes afterwards. So many settlements in a vast area, and the area is something more than 1,80,000 plus square kilometers. Such vast area, one civilization, which they call as Indus Valley. Now, the confusion or the puzzles which the archaeologists and historians were to address was this. They find settlements to the south of River Sindhu, not to the north of River Sindhu. All these settlements, which I personally call it as Vedic settlements, are to the south of River Sindhu and not to the north of River Sindhu. But if you talk about a civilization, civilizations are on either side of a river, given river. Why there is civilization only at one bank of the river? If it is Sindhu civilization, as they call it as Indus Valley, what a name. If it is really Indus civilization, then an ideal situation or a logical situation could have been such that the settlements of that civilization could have been on either side of the River Sindhu. But we find the settlements only to the one side of River Sindhu. The other side is nothing. We have to the south of River Sindhu. So, Michel's book, even otherwise also, but Michel's book I am quoting. Michel's book says that actually it is not Indus Valley. You find the lost river, that is how he names his book, the lost river, that is River Saraswati, which used to flow at one time, and which got dried up. The changes in this civilization, which archaeologists call as Harappan civilization, the moment or the shift or the change has come only because of drying up of River Saraswati. So River Saraswati does not exist. It dried up. Of course, there is River Saraswati, as per many people's suggestion, is still flowing underground. People call it as Gupta Saraswati. And of course, wherever the Gupta Saraswati surfaces, it's a holy place for the Hindus. And at many places, there are also Trivenis, 2 more rivers join. So, if you look at Saraswati, the actual settlements, the Vedic settlement, they are called as Vedic settlements. Vedic settlements are on either side of River Saraswati. And as per Michel, it is to the north up to Sindhu. The settlement to the north up to Sindhu, to the south up to River Tapi, according to Michel, and to the west up to Kutch, and to the east up to Gangadhok. He had identified about 1,80,000 square kilometers of area, and with 3,600 such settlements in 3 stages, that is early, middle and later. And if I am again right, there are some 2,500 plus sites, and in 3 stages. But sites per se 2,500 around. Not all of them are excavated. We don't know how many are yet to be excavated. And another thing, why call it a Saraswati civilization is because, see, these are the Vedic settlements. First point, they are Vedic settlements. And those who the chronologists, those who usually fix time for events, wanted to fix a time for the Vedas, and they are trying to say 5,000. Someone says 30,000. Someone says some different periods. Definitely, one logical, I would say, Vedas are predating Dwaraka, the Dwaraka of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And if you look at the Bharatiya chronology, which I think I will do it separately, Yugas, Mahabharata war, the Bharata war was at the end of Dwapara Yuga and beginning of Kali Yuga. That is as per Bharatiya chronology, Bharatiya time concept. That's very interesting. Some other time I should do that. Bharatiya time concept. So, that, if you, Dwaraka excavations, my university and our archaeologists had their own direct hands in excavation of Dwaraka. Professor S.R. Rao was here in the same university. They carbon dating goes to something like 30,000 years, etc. That's what I think. If I'm not wrong. And if that is 30,000 years old, how can Vedas only be 5,000 years old? Somebody at fixed time. And we have a concept of Manvantaras. And now we are in, I think, 7th or 11th, no, I have to see that. Manvantara, which is called Manava Manvantara. So many Manvantaras went away. And each Manvantara we have several repetition of 4 yugas. Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, Pralaya, again Satyuga. Now this cycle. The Bharatiya time concept is cyclical. So that will need a separate discussion. We will come to it some other time. So Vedas make explicit references about river Saraswati. Not so much about Ganga. But maximum references of the Vedas are about river Saraswati. And the Vedas say that, speak about river Saraswati as the mighty flowing river. As the mighty flowing river. So, if you put a simple logic, the time of Vedas must have been, logically, the time of river Saraswati, when Saraswati was flowing in full swing. So, the time of Vedas could be something closer to the period of Saraswati flowing in full swing. That we have to find out. We have to find out through whatever time chronology fixing, time fixing technique. But logically one can say this. Now settlements were, then again as per Michel, on either side of river Saraswati, to the north up to Sindhu. That means it is not Sindhu civilization. It's only up to the southern bank of Sindhu. And not beyond, up to Sindhu. And to the south up to river Tapi, they said. Michel said. But then, very recent excavation done in Tamil Nadu, Kijadi, has all the qualities of a Vedic site. So, up to river Tapi stands disputed or stands corrected. We do not know. The south, so much of excavations were not done. If Kijad is one site excavated, there could be many more such Vedic sites in south. And if you extend this thought to the area of Kumarikandam, which is under Indian Ocean today, which the European historians termed as Lemuria, is underwater. If you extend it to that, then the whole scenario becomes different and further expanding, further changing. There are many suggestions coming saying that man was not If did not evolve from Africa to begin with, it must have been in Lemuria, as Europeans say. For us, it is Kumarikandam. Kumarikandam is also referred to as Jambudvipa in Sanskrit. Now, for a person who is doing Agnihotra in Bharat, when he says, he has to say his address. Agnihotra is addressing Agni. Agni is an interesting personality among the Devtas. You request Agni, you give something to Agni and request him to deliver it to some of the other deities. It's something like a speed post, what we do today, or a very efficient courier service. And to address Agni, and Agni is so ferocious. You don't have the courage to address Agni directly. You approach Agni through his wife, Swaha. These are very interesting aspects. Let me come back to the original discussion about the confusions about Indus Valley. So Saraswati Valley, it should be on either side of river Saraswati. Up to south, we are not yet sure. That's the point which I was trying to make. With the Kiladi excavations, very late, very recent. Michel's book came out only in 2010. It was published by Penguin India, and this happens about 2-3 years before only. Maybe in late 20s or 2020, I'm not very sure of the time. But if at least some 20 years after or 10 years after Michel's book came out. So it is definitely river beyond river Tapi to the south, which is unexplored. And so many sites are unexplored. We do not know. You have to excavate, and the excavation is, suppose we do it, suppose we go to excavate all the Vedic sites, it's going to take generations, and I think it's going on. It is not stopped. It's still going on. And people are going. I see my friends going and coming. 3 months, 6 months in dust and coming back. They excavate various areas. So, our concern was only about the terminology of calling Bharatiya Sanskriti based on Indus civilization, which we would like to call us, I would like to call us, the Saraswati civilization or the Vedic civilization, certainly not Indus. When you call it as Saraswati Valley civilization, everything falls into place and everything falls into time. You don't have to be worried about the period of Vedas, you just worry about the period of Saraswati. And all the movements took place after Saraswati's drying up. So it is not Indus Valley, it is Saraswati Valley. But commonly we make the mistake Indus Valley. Indus Valley, even today, people talk about Indus Valley as if it is a reality. It's not reality. That's a mistake. Normal mistake, it's nothing wantingly somebody made mistake. It is not the case. The first excavation happens to be Harappa, then the Mount of the Dead, Mohenjo-daro in Sindh. These sites were by the side to the south of river Sindhu. So those professional archaeologists, they thought it is Sindhu Sanskriti, Sindhu civilization. No, that time nobody had any idea about Saraswati. Saraswati was only referred to in the Vedas, and these people don't read the Vedas. Nor do they treat Vedas as some knowledge text. They treat it as a religious text, obviously wrongly. They treated it as a religious text. It's actually knowledge text. And you could have taken reference from the Rig Veda or the other any Veda which talks about river Saraswati. And Saraswati is not visible. By then, Saraswati is already dried up. Only satellite images shows the path of Saraswati. And now beginning from Himalayas and up to Kutch. I don't know, but I have a strong feeling that the run of Kutch is a result of so many thousands and thousands of years of Saraswati falling into the river, formation of Kutch, run of Kutch. and you look at the river Saraswati, you will find almost all settlements, all the Vedic settlements are on either side of river Saraswati, this way, that way. But it's a vast area. 1,80,000 plus 86,000 plus square kilometers is not a small place. North up to Sindhu, west up to Kutch, east up to uh, Ganga, and south we don't know. Michelle has only identified up to Tapi, border of Maharashtra and Gujarat, but we don't know south till where. That area is unexplored. So it's a vast area. It is the Bharatiya Sanskriti, which naturally covers the entire Bharat. So one confusion where we would stop is calling Saraswati river Saraswati civilization or Saraswati Sanskriti or the Vedic Sanskriti as Indus civilization. It is not Indus Valley. It is Saraswati Valley, if you want to call it. Or if you don't want to enter into that kind of a, there is no point in maintaining Indus Valley, because it has become very, very obvious. Something like the Aryan theory, Aryan race. We can call it safely as Vedic civilization. We would like to prefer the term Vedic civilization because they are Vedic settlements, Vedic sites. Be it Dholavira, be it Kalibagan, be it Lothal, third stage. And 60% of the Vedic settlements, 60% of the Vedic percent, as per Michel's calculation, is in today's Gujarat. Today's Gujarat, only one place. No wonder the sand is so fine. And of course adjoining Rajasthan and other places. South remains unexplored. That is what we are unable to speak for the southern part, except the Kiradi excavations which happened recently. But as if you talk about the 3,600 identified settlements, 60% of them are in today's Gujarat. So it's all nearby, many of the settlements. One can go and see. Of course, you need a different kind of mind to look at these settlements and feel. You should feel them. So let's be very conscious in using terminologies we borrow, inadvertently making mistakes. We take it as granted. People say this. It had been printed. It had been taught in the schools, right from schools. Everyone speaks of Indus Valley civilization. Let's at least start correcting. It is not Indus Valley. It is either Saraswati civilization, or call it as Vedic civilization, or technically as the archaeologists called as Harappan civilization, because the first excavated site was Harappa. Then of course, Sardar K.M. Panikkar is a great mind. Sardar K.M. Panikkar. He was Diwan. Diwan should be like the Prime Minister of Bikaner state, Bikaner king. And there's this I have read long before. So when after the partition, Pakistan, after the coming of Pakistan, it seems Nehru, that time Prime Minister, seemed to have spoken to Sardar K.M. Panikkar. He was a great historian. Panikkar is a great historian. Was also Diwan of Bikaner state. Nehru seemed to have told him that, look, our history had gone to Pakistan, because Nehru knew only about Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. They are going to Pakistan. It's our history. It had gone to Pakistan. Then Sardar K.M. Panikkar said, don't worry. We have much larger sites. That's only a tip of the iceberg. You're talking about Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. It's only tip of the iceberg at one far extreme. But we have sites like Dholavira, Kalbe, so many places, he said. 3,600 sites means Only one or two there. In Pakistan, few. The rest here. Don't worry. We have all our required sites with us. Sadar K. Panikkar was seemed to have told Jawaharlal Nehru. Yes. One thing, if you're stationed in Gujarat, like Michelle has spent a lot of time in Gujarat. He keeps coming to Gujarat at times. It's easy for it to visit maximum Vedic sites with minimum travel, because they all are nearby. Many of them are nearby, and only some are far flung. So let's be conscious about this. Let's not repeat inadvertent confusions created by people who wrote history. One is this: don't call it as Indus Valley. Please correct it as Saraswati Valley or Vedic sites, or as the archaeologists technically call us, Harappan civilization. But the most appropriate expression ought to be Vedic civilization or Saraswati Valley civilization, since you refer to that river, or Vedic civilization, which is knowledgeably correct, logically correct. It is Veda Upanishadic knowledge, tradition based civilization. I used to tell that the Bharatiya Sanskriti is based on a knowledge tradition, which is a Veda Upanishadic knowledge tradition, and the settlements are on either side of river Saraswati now, which is Vedic settlements. So, Vedic civilization. It's a knowledge tradition. A Vedic civilization based on the Veda Upanishadic knowledge tradition. Let's connect things like that. They make sense. And they make sense not just for being proud, etc. You can only afford to be proud about your yesterdays or your knowledge tradition only if and only if you are able to live up to that level of refined existence. Simply don't say that my ancestors had this, so I should be proud. No. You must earn the right to be proud. That's my personal position. Must earn the right to be proud. If you want to call yourselves a Brahmin, cultivate the Brahmanical qualities and then call. Similarly, if you want to call yourselves a Hindu, you must have the Hindu nobility and such Hindu attributes. Same is the case with everything. Don't simply feel proud without having imbibed the attributes of the phenomenon about which you are supposed to be claiming pride. So let's keep correcting this. Let's keep calling it as Saraswati civilization, Saraswati Valley civilization, or the Vedic civilization, not the Indus Valley civilization anymore. Okay, we will stop here until we meet again. Namaste, Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.